Hello, and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent McCory from the Voice of America in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, I'm Vincent McCory at the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Joke Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
The Minister of State for Education, Mr. Tanko Sununu, is advocating entrepreneurial studies in secondary schools as a means of addressing unemployment in the country. He also calls on the administrators of schools to address the issues of social vices and structural decay.
The Minister of State for Education, along with some directors at the ministry, are attending the 2024 Annual General Meeting of the Principals of Federal Unity Colleges. The meeting provides an opportunity for these administrators to set a new academic agenda, and this year the focus is on entrepreneurship education.
We have another opportunity to build ourselves. This gathering, I will say, is our agenda-setting meeting. Let us set about skilling our products so we will not only churn out quantitative but highly qualitative products.
Entrepreneurship education can help create a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, leading to job creation, economic growth, and improved living standards.
Lending his voice to the call for entrepreneurship education, the Minister of State for Education urges the gathering to upskill entrepreneurship skills in their teaching curriculum.
By integrating entrepreneurship education into our curriculum, we can empower our students to become job creators rather than job seekers. We can inspire in them to develop sustainable business model that addresses societal, drive economic growth, and contribute to national development. We must work together to ensure that we prepare students for the challenges of the 21st century by focusing on innovation, critical thinking, and skill development.
The minister also calls the attention of the principals to address the moral and infrastructural decay in unity schools.
I will not end my speech without calling the attention of the principal under this august and rare opportunity to please call on you to pay much attention to the issue of social biases in our schools. This must be addressed. We must also pay much attention to maintenance culture.
The high point of the event is the presentation of prizes to some of the Federal Unity Colleges for excellent academic performances in the last Senior School Certificate examination.
Let's get more on these suggestions by the Minister of State for Education in Nigeria, and I'm being joined on the program today by the Commissioner for Education, Zamfara State. He joins us via Zoom, Mr. Madawaki Wadatao. Thank you for your time today. Right, so what's your take on the suggestion by the Minister of State for Education to introduce entrepreneurial studies in secondary schools as a way of tackling unemployment in the country?
I want to believe that the suggestion by the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Dr. Sununu, is a welcome development. And it is a suggestion that has been long overdue, considering the fact that for a very long time, the Nigerian system of education has been on, emphasis has been on paper qualifications and not skills qualification. And there is need for us to have skills that are imbibed in our children, in our students, so that they will be able to understand critically the way education is being carried out in the international community, especially in developed countries. You see, in developed countries, skills are given priority, and that's why those countries are developing. But here in Nigeria, we all lay emphasis on paper qualification, and that's why our youth will graduate from schools without any skill that will enable them to live a better life in the society. That is the kind of situation that I think we have long overdue. We should have taken consideration of and ensure that we tailored our education towards skills acquisition that will enable our children to be able to learn skills that will assist them to live a very useful life in the society.
And has Zamfara State made any efforts or plans to incorporate entrepreneurial studies into the secondary school curriculum?
Certainly, the state is making effort, especially this new administration that's being led by His Excellency Dr. Dauda Lawal. Efforts are being made to ensure that, yes, vocational and technical education are introduced into the school system or reintroduced in the school system so that our children will be trained to learn skills that will assist them to live a wonderful life. You see, not only in the formal school system, but also in the informal school system, the Sangha schools are also being integrated into this system where the Almajiris are being trained through skills acquisition to enable them, learn some skills that will lead to a better life. Instead of them going around begging, they will learn skills that will assist them.
And beyond entrepreneurship and structural improvement in schools, what other educational reforms is Zamfara State considering to improve overall quality of education in secondary schools?
There are so many reforms that we are putting into place. For example, presently, we are with this academic session, we are introducing upgrading of 9 major schools. 3 are purely entrepreneurial, another 3 are purely technical, and another 3 are purely sciences, so that we give specific trainings to our children so that in those areas there will be specialization. One of these schools each is in each of the senatorial zones in the state. And then we have vocational schools that have been established through our collaboration with the federal government agency, the Universal Basic Education Commission, where we have vocational schools that have been put in place in the 3 senatorial zones, one in Kaura Namoda, one in Gusau, and the other one in Gumi, where students of the junior secondary schools are going to be taught vocational subjects. Already, the schools have been completed, equipment have been put in place, and then we are now training the teachers that will handle those schools and enable the students benefit from this intervention by the federal government that is being put in place for the benefit of the Nigerian child. So we are putting in so many innovations in the system to ensure that the technical schools are mostly in the senior secondary schools, where we are bringing in the issue of technical workshops that are going to help. And mostly the other schools that we have, the 3 entrepreneurship schools that will distinct towards the education of the girl child, which is very important. We want the girl child to have better education, quality education, and thus they are going to be taught skills so that even if they don't go for further studies in their family homes, they will be able to also do some businesses through their skills and assist in the upkeep of the family.
And what collaborations do you have to ensure that national education policies are effectively implemented at the state level?
We are collaborating intensively with the Federal Ministry of Education and its other parastatals that have issues on education as a whole. We collaborate with UBEC, Universal Basic Education Commission, on basic education. We collaborate on the newly established Senior Secondary Education Commission that has been established also to ensure that whatever policies are being brought in, we handle them. Mass education, nomadic education, the higher education where we have the National University Commission, we have the NCC, the National Council, the National Commission for Quality of Education. We all collaborate with them to ensure that whatever policies are being brought in by the federal government, even though education is on the concurrent list, we ensure that we key into that system to ensure that there is synergy, there is collaboration, and then there is uniformity in whatever activities are being put for the benefit of children to learn quality education.
Right. Commissioner for Education, Zamfara State, Mr. Wadatau, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for the invitation.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, despite government warnings against violating child labor practices, street hawking continues in Cameroon. Welcome back to Africa 54. Vincent McCory in Washington. In Cameroon, some children spend their summer selling goods on the streets to generate income for their families. But the government is warning parents against violating child labor practices and exposing minors to dangers. Jonseka Danhatu reports from Bue.
The cost of living has gone up in Cameroon. and the impact is being felt by Chirobe Stella's family of 10 who rely on her for survival. So, to lessen the burden, she sends her teenage children to the streets to sell goods during summer holidays.
They must go and hawk so that we can meet up with our house activities, maybe our clothing, our feeding, yes, our health issues, because at times we do fall sick. Things are very expensive now in our country.
Despite her efforts to provide for her family's needs, Stella is concerned about the risk her children may face while selling on the streets.
When they go out there, we're praying to God, God protect my children, because the outside is bad. We cannot predict what can happen out there. Yes, we do have concern, and we caution them. You people should not go and stay out till late.
Unemployment and poverty are driving many Cameroonian parents to put their children to work, according to a 2023 report from the Danish Refugee Council. The report highlights that girls selling goods in neighborhoods are especially at risk, facing dangers like sexual harassment and kidnapping. In response, the Cameroonian government is stepping in to help, offering mothers alternative sources of income through vocational training programs like computer skills, sewing, and catering.
The Women Empowerment Center is still here to empower women on that, make them to be economic viable so that they can take care of their children without even depending on the income that some of those children can give.
Some parents are sending their children to master other skills rather than following risky pursuits. The Volcanic Warrior Sports and Recreational Academy offers both free and paid courses teaching computers, basketball, and music, among other things.
Education does not end only in academics. Education goes with what we call co-curricular activities, as we may name them, but which are a vital tool to present-day life.
Government authorities like Stella say that initiatives providing economic support to parents are essential in preventing child labor. She also said that they offer training in industrial equipment so they can maintain jobs and have a stable income.
We are making it to be sustainable because we want women to be economically independent.
The government-funded free training programs are important in Buea subdivision, where over 70 women graduate annually from the Women's Empowerment Program, many of whom receive equipment and startup capital to secure better jobs. Josika Danhatu, VOA News, Buea, Cameroon.
With about 48 million Nigerians still engaged in unsafe sanitary practices, key stakeholders have been urged to commit towards ending the practice in the country, as our correspondent Kelly Agiga reports.
Findings by the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene National Outcome Routine Mapping Report 2021 reveals that over 48 million Nigerians still practice open defecation. And as Nigeria aims to eliminate this issue by 2025, this stakeholders gathering is timely. Participants here discuss Nigeria's progress towards that goal and set the record straight.
The campaign, which was flagged off at that time, is to, carry out a behavioral change campaign. Beyond the facilities, we also see that there are issues around behavioral change.
Globally, 1.6 billion people need treatment for one or more of these diseases. We have about 700 million Africans in need of treatment, and in Nigeria we have over 165 million Nigerians in need of treatment. These diseases are preventable. They are treatable. They don't have to be death sentences. They don't have to be life sentences. Togo has eliminated 4 entities to date. We can definitely do this.
For the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, it remains committed to ending the crisis of open defecation by building a sustainable future where improved sanitation drives health, economic growth, and environmental resilience.
There's a lot of different things that Nigeria can do, but we really need to all work together. All of the government partners, all of the private sector, all of the state and LGA level, all of us, we need to work together. to really try and stop open defecation because it's killing so many children. And people are dying unnecessarily. Simple preventative measures, using the toilet, washing our hands, can really make a huge difference.
The dialogue also featured a panel discussion where stakeholders deliberated on strategies to eliminate the crisis and related issues must play a more active role in addressing the crisis. Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
In his garage in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, mechanic Sao Ouedraogo spends hours fixing, customizing and transforming automobiles. His latest achievement was turning an ordinary car into a limousine. VOA's Gilda Da shares the story of this car enthusiast from the capital.
In 2023, 38-year-old engineering enthusiast Sao Ouedraogo embarked on a daring project. What was once a modest Honda Civic has been transformed into a glamorous limousine.
I also love challenges, which led me to cut the vehicle. My family, the people in the neighborhood, the garage customers, everyone told me it wasn't worth it. And that's what I was going to ruin the vehicle. I said, no, let me do it. It was only when I finished and they came to see it that they realized it was a fully functioning limousine.
Ouedraogo loved cars since he was 12 years old. After failing in 5th grade, he took mechanics classes and did small jobs in other garages. He ended up opening his shop in 2016. Since then, he has managed to turn it into a fully operational garage that employs 15 workers.
He's someone who dares, which is why I support him. I really admire his courage. We are all in for the challenges he wants to take on.
Ouedraogo's fascination with limousines comes from the music videos of American singers and the movies he watched on TV since he was a child. He dreamed of seeing one in real life, so he decided to build one. Ouedraogo says building a limousine is no easy task. Sometimes, he says, he had to break things and start over to get the right structure and materials. He took a year to prepare, draw his plans, and refine his research.
The materials I used were mostly salvaged. Some were new sheets of metal I bought and iron bars I managed to purchase to put together the bodywork.
A limousine cruising through the streets of Ouagadougou is a sight that turns heads.
I had the chance to get into the limousine today, and it's really comfortable. We are truly at ease. I want to congratulate the designer because he did a great job. And to think that it's made in Burkina Faso is truly commendable. With a TV and cushioned seats, really, it has all the possible comforts.
In addition to the limousine, Ouedraogo has transformed several standard cars into convertibles or barbecue cars. A barbecue car is a car equipped with an integrated stove system that can be deployed to grill meat. The car also contains a potable water tank for drinking.
He loves to give his all in terms of innovation, creation, modification and tuning. He does a lot of things. I want to learn and do more than what my boss is doing.
It's a passion for us to create and invent car parts. Once we have the money, we can produce them in series for sale.
Ouedraogo showcases the limousine to the public at auto shows. The vehicle is often rented for weddings and other events, but its inventor says it is not for sale. For Gilda Da, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, Betty Ayoub, VOA Africa.
Blueberry farmers in Zimbabwe are seeking to cash in on the global demand for the fruit despite funding woes challenging the industry. Farmers say funding is available. There's massive growth opportunity in the business. Zimbabwean farmers are aiming to capitalize on the increasing global demand for blueberries, but self-funded growers like Willard Zireva cite a lack of funding and minimal government support as barriers. Despite the sector's growth in recent years, banks remain wary of financing agriculture due to uncertain land tenure, making it challenging for black farmers like Zireva to grow their farming ventures. Zireva, a farmer with 12 hectares of blueberry crops in his Talana farm, located 100 kilometers west of the capital city, Harare, said he had to rely on personal savings to plant his first crop after a local bank denied him funding.
If funding is available, it is a massive growth opportunity.
Growing a hectare of blueberries in Zimbabwe requires at least $100 million to import plants, pots from Europe, and special shades for the crops. Other costs include refrigerated packaging, warehouses, and water resources. Zireva's farm aims to export 120 metric tons of blueberries to the United Kingdom, but he says demand far exceeds ability to supply.
We export to the UK. We have an export going to Germany for the first time. If we get more funding, because we are talking to various possibilities, we get more funding, we want to double the area, so to go to 24 hectares.
Zimbabwe's Horticultural Development Council says lack of long-term financing was a significant barrier to the sector's plans to double blueberry hectareage by 2030.
We're on 570 hectares and our tonnage is around 5,000, 6,000 tons annually. So we will see growth in the blueberry sector coming off on the tonnage side, but we really need to take advantage and grow the hectareage and maintain our market share.
The country's horticultural exports, driven in part by blueberries, exceed $100 million annually. The sector's exports, which peaked at $140 million in 1999, were disrupted when former President Robert Mugabe initiated the seizure of white-owned farms to resettle landless black citizens. Despite being one of the fastest-growing blueberry producers globally, with production doubling to 7,000 metric tons last year due to favorable climate conditions, Zimbabwean farmers still struggle to secure finances for their operations.
The construction industry is finding new uses for artificial intelligence, with autonomous robots documenting building progress and detecting potential hazards. VOA's Natasha Mosgovaya has more from Seattle in this week's edition of Log On.
When the construction crew on this Seattle, Washington apartment building clocks out for the day, two autonomous robots backed by artificial intelligence, or AI, get to work.
So the robot drives into each room on the floor. It has the floor plans already loaded in it, so it knows where the walls are going to be. And what it does is it moves into each space and takes a 360-degree high-resolution photo. And it goes through and it does the entire floor for that, and then it uploads those photos into its cloud-based platform where it runs through a number of AI-driven analysis that then report out to the project team.
When the robots were introduced to the staff 3 months ago as part of a pilot project collaboration between the Skanska construction company and Boston-based Nextera Robotics, some were skeptical.
I have not seen a robot that's able to autonomously kind of maneuver around a construction site that's ever changing. There's always things in the way. There's always people moving in and out. But these do a really good job at that.
Images captured by these robots go through an AI model trained to recognize thousands of construction-related objects.
It's analyzing them and saying, okay, what do I see here? Are the walls painted? Is it drywall? Did the ceiling have framing? Is it painted concrete? Is the air duct installed? Is the air duct insulated? It's looking for all of these things and then processing them into our online platform and then displaying them in a really digestible way.
Workers' faces are blurred on the robot-captured images to protect their privacy. Project leaders insist that the robots are there to help people with tedious or dangerous tasks.
Being able to track the progress amongst all the trades on a 31-story, 324-unit residential tower, that's just something that would be extremely time-consuming and very, very difficult for a human to do.
Riles says that the wider adoption of AI in construction is just a matter of time. Natasha Mosgovaya, VOA News, Seattle.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. To remember that channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joke Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.